Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geico 15-Minute Moto Show. I'm your host, Ralph Shaheen. You know, we all live really busy, fast-paced lives, right? Well, some folks in racing, their lives are even more fast-paced, on and off the track. And sometimes a good long-distance motorcycle ride is just what you need to get your brain focused back on what you have to do. And my guest today, boy, he puts in a ton of miles in between each and every race. It's Gary Nelson. Gary, how are you doing today, my friend?
Hello, Ralph. Good to see you.
Yeah. So tell everybody what you have going on right now. You're down at Road Atlanta, testing, getting ready for Petit Le Mans?
Yes, the race is coming up here in a few weeks. I think early November, 10-hour sports car race for IMSA. And so we're testing to prepare for that. We're really looking forward to it.
You've made your living as one of the smartest guys in motorsports when it comes to NASCAR and now IMSA competition, getting your drivers set up, tuned up, and ready to go, and figuring out how to engineer the best race car to beat the competition. How has motorcycling helped you do that?
It's kind of a strange path I took because I started riding motorcycles at a very young age and just loved it. I mean, I would follow all of the flat track. I was from Southern California, so Skip Van Leeuwen was like my hero. And then riding motorcycles in Southern California, I ended up riding through what we would call the canyons, Ritchie Canyon and San Mateo Canyon. Would end up at the Riverside Raceway and found a hole under the fence around turn 8. We'd park our little dirt bikes. You know, we're like 10, 12, 13 years old, park our dirt bikes outside and sneak under the fence and watch the stock cars run at Riverside. They had, you know, the Richard Petty and the days in the early 70s, late 60s. They would be running and we'd watch that. Became a Dan Gurney fan and then a Parnelli Jones fan. And so somehow all of that mixed together and found myself making a living in stock car racing.
Well, those are great guys to become fans of, for sure. So when you ride your motorcycle now, do you actually find that it helps you think about the weekend ahead?
I think one of the things I've learned over the years is the ideas come when your mind is fresh. And for many times, you're in racing, there's always problems. We're always trying to get better. We're always trying to get faster, get more speed, or deal with this problem or that problem. But if you if you don't take your mind off of it and clear your head every once in a while, answers don't seem as easy. So for me, I'll be riding down some back road out in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden an idea will come to me, and I say, "Oh, that's simple. I wonder why I didn't think of that before." So for me, I guess that's a definition of clearing your head, but it actually, I've found it to be very good.
You're a fun follow on social media. Obviously, you and I have been buddies for a long time, but I love following you on social media because you explore when you go for your rides. A lot of people have a destination and they pull out the map or they get on their phone and they plot out where they're going to go. You just will stand there and you'll start your social media day by saying, gee, I wonder where this road goes. And 1,000 miles later, you're somewhere else.
Exactly. That's so cool. For me, you know, it's not the miles, it's the experience. So interstates are fine to get from point A to point B, but I like to get off the interstates. And I've actually, with GPS now on my iPhone, on sitting right there on my handlebar, I can look at I'll be, say, out in the middle of nowhere, and I'll look and I'll see a town that even looks further out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I don't know, I was in West Virginia one day and I saw a town. I zoom in, and I see a town, War, W-A-R, War, West Virginia. I said, well, I've never heard of this place. Let's go check it out. And just the roads that the GPS will send you on to get to these out of the way places are really, really nice. I really enjoy those things.
Now, you and I have done a few rides together over the years, but most of the time when I'm following you on social media, you're by yourself. Is there a reason for that? Do you just like the solidarity,
Yeah,
the loneliness that way?
I, yeah, I like riding with others, but that's a scheduled ride. You almost, you feel like you have to stop and say, hey, what do you think about this diner? Or you want to go up to the next town, or those kind of things. So to me, I enjoy riding with others, but it's more of a structure and schedule when I do that. When I'm by myself, I see something, sometimes slow down, turn around, make a U-turn, and go back and look at something. I never would do that with somebody riding with me. You know, that you're always worried that that person wasn't interested in that, you know, whatever that, you know, may be. Like I don't know, I was up riding up the Ohio River one day, and all of a sudden I saw something that I wasn't sure what it was. So I turned around and went back, and it was an old prison that is up there, and it was just kind of a cool place. You know, who would put an old prison on a destination? But I thought it was kind of a nice. So riding by myself gives me a lot more latitude, I guess, to be able to do those kind of things. So I ride with others sometimes, but mostly by myself.
Now, in the past, we've had Kyle Petty and Steve Park on the show, a couple mutual buddies of ours who we've ridden with quite a bit. And they talked a lot about how they used to ride in their days when they were racing in NASCAR. And I know you've done that. And now you ride while you're working in the IMSA series, the IMSA WeatherTech series. How different is that experience? In NASCAR, there was always people to go for a ride with to and from a race. Do you find that as well in the sports car world, or are you kind of the lone wolf there?
I think I'm a lone wolf. I haven't found, you know, people will talk to me a little bit, but when I park my bike at some of the races, there's no other bikes around. And I'm not sure, maybe I just haven't crossed paths with those kind of folks or whatever. But to me, just showing up, like I went to Watkins Glen this year, rode up to New York. Then we raced a week later at Watkins Glen again. So I just stayed up in New York, and I rode up to a place called the Thousand Islands just by myself, got a little cheap hotel and toured the Thousand Islands, got on a boat and went out up the St. Lawrence River. And you know, it's just a really neat part of the country that I don't think I would have experienced without my motorcycle. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so guys that like to ride to different events, I'm happy to do that kind of riding as well. But I really enjoy the spontaneity of being able to just do whatever comes along.
Yeah. Well, and now you're on a different tour that takes you to different locations outside of where the Cup Tour would have taken you. So that's probably opened up your GPS to explore new areas too, right?
Oh yeah, I've ridden to Lime Rock, Connecticut, and ridden to the New Jersey track when we ran there several years back. And for instance, 4th of July, I was riding in Pennsylvania, the actual day, 4th of July. And I just got in a parade, 4th of July parade. I was leaving that parking lot. I just got in the back of the parade and rode and waved at all the people on the sidewalk.
So you used to ride a really cool yellow Harley that Dave Perowitz had built for you. I remember riding together when you had that. But now you're on a Kawasaki, right? What are you riding now, and what's the difference?
I've moved on to, yeah, I don't have a Kawasaki anymore, but I've had at the peak, I think I had 18 motorcycles.
Oh boy.
And I've been kind of weeding them out a little bit. I'm down to, I think I've probably got about 7. I'd have to count them, 7 or 8 right now. But yeah, my Kawasaki 1400 Monster Energy ZX was one heck of a ride. I really enjoyed the power, you know, and I like riding mountains. So the bike was somewhat of a sport bike, but it had a little bit of a touring feel to it. I always put a box on the back so I can carry an overnight luggage. But right at the moment, I'm riding a Yamaha FJR 1300, and I did the iron butt ride with it, and I really enjoy the little bit more upright as I age. You know, the low handlebars and the high foot pegs kind of gets to you after 65 years old. I'm 68 now, and so sitting a little more upright, it feels better. I'm not quite gold wing status yet. I really love that Yamaha.
So is there a ride and a motorcycle that you would want to use to go on it that you haven't done yet?
Oh boy, you know, um, no, I think I've done. I don't think there's one on my list. There's places you know, everywhere I go, I discover something. Like one of the things I did have on my list last year that I did was the west coast of Florida. What I wanted to do was ride the west coast till the road ended. And it turned out it was way down in the Everglades, and you went over a bridge, and finally you're on an island, and that's the end of the west coast of Florida, because the Everglades there's no roads there, and or there's no roads that far down. So I did that, and then I came back Alligator Alley and went down into the Keys on that same ride. But that was one that was on my list. I think just the next adventure. It's not really a destination to me. It's the road and what I find on the road.
You know, you were well known for your creativity when it came to working as a crew chief and engineer in motorsports. Have you engineered anything on your motorcycle? Are you one that always tinkers with it, try to make it better?
I do all the work on it myself. I like my bikes quiet. That's kind of why my Harleys stay parked a lot. I like to be quiet. I have this theory that maybe I won't wake up the cop when I come through town, you know. I'll be gone before he even knows, because, you know, all these little towns you ride through are, you know, it's 55, 65 miles an hour, and all of a sudden it's 25, and you've got to slow down. And many times I'm just not really paying that close of attention to a sudden speed trap. And having a quiet bike, I think, has helped me a few times on that. But I do all the work myself, all the tire changes, all the service, all the maintenance. You know, I mean, I've had heads off, built, you know, put in pistons and different things. I enjoy working on them. I think as much as I do riding them.
You've seen so much of this country from the saddle. What's the one thing you've taken away from that you say, I didn't know this about America, but?
I think the people. I think, you know, when the people you meet on the road, you wouldn't think about, you know, growing up and with the, you know, the reputation a lot of motorcyclists have had in my mind, in the public eye, always, you know, it began to make me nervous. I go into this little town like Jack Nicholson on Easy Rider and not come out, you know. And it's been exactly the opposite. Everybody is so nice. People talk about bikes and how they like my bike or where have I been, and you know. One other thing I got when I did the iron butt ride, I got a license plate frame that, you know, that says iron butt rider, and a lot of people know about that, and they talk about that. It really amazes me that, you know, there'll be a guy driving a minivan getting groceries at the 7-Eleven when I'm getting gas, and he'll pull up and want to talk, you know. So in the small towns of all across America, it's really the same.
Well, and it's pretty cool that your two passions have come together, motorsports and motorcycling, and one, either way, has pretty much given you the other, hasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, I was really at a young age, I was thinking of pursuing a motorcycle racing career. I raced amateurs, flat track and TT in Southern California at Elsinore Speedway and Paris Speedway and Corona Speedway, and even raced at Lodi at one time. And I really was, I got a speedway bike at one time. I raced some speedway racing in Southern California, and I raced Barstow to Vegas in the desert. I just enjoyed my bikes in those days, but I couldn't pay the bills. And so when I got into stock car racing, then I was able to at least pay the bills. But the problem was all the stock car races were on the weekends, and so were the motorcycle races. So I finally decided I'd do better working on the cars and trying to make a career at that. And people asked me one time why I didn't pursue driving race cars, and I said, I think my career will be longer if I work on them, and that's kind of how I've done it.
And it's been an amazing career at that. Gary, we need to go for a ride again soon, but obviously you guys got to go win Petit Le Mans, so we're going to let you get back to the test. Hey, you got to love a guy who wears no sniveling on his hat, right? I love it.
Yes, sir. That's why I wore it, because I like it when people come up and they have something positive to say.
Gary Nelson, ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to the upcoming Petit Le Mans. It's all part of the WeatherTech IMSA Championship. They'll be racing down there for 10 hours at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta later this year. I'm Ralph Sheheen. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Geico 15 Minute Moto Show. We'll have a new episode for you every week right here on Speed Sports. So long.